Hi, people. This is DJ.
This is Ish.
And this is
Season
3
3
of
Pero
Let Me Tell You. El Tenedor Salvaje.
Okay.
Or a restaurant that serves wild boar.
Tell me more.
On that note, everybody, welcome to episode 128 of Pero Let Me Tell You. How is everybody?
Yes, 128. This is the episode where DJ is not so silently judging me.
Why?
Like last episode.
Oh, like last time? No, I'm not judging you today, Poopsie. It's okay. You're crazy like Soraya.
It's true.
Another Martha of Miami genius shirt.
Damn right.
Soraya really is. She is a cultural treasure. Oh, there we go. A cultural treasure.
Okay.
Right. She's a cultural treasure.
That's
you
true.
know how like in British and American literature, we have these fictional characters.
It's iconic.
Like
Like a Sherlock Holmes.
like a Sherlock Holmes or like
Jane Eyre.
a Jane Eyre, right? In American literature,
Great Gatsby.
right? The Great Gatsby.
Right.
Right in Latin
Culture.
not culture. In terms of great characters, you have to have Soraya Montenegro.
It's true.
I
There's
mean, who else can stab someone with scissors? Right?
knock over a girl in a wheelchair.
Knock over la maldita lisiada in front of a whole party, and yet somehow nobody testified against her.
They knew better.
They knew better.
They knew better.
La venganza de Soraya.
Oh, no.
And who else can fall out of a window of a, of like what is a 10th floor
Easily.
floor,
Easily.
and just
And survive. I
survive a little surgery here and
surgery,
there.
some recuperation, some therapy, physical therapy, but it's a testament to Itati
I'm
Cantoral.
telling you, Soraya Montenegro is. I mean,
I know
and
that she was like 20 when she did that role.
She was, and I think it's so great. And I think we've talked about this before. What they did in Orange Is the New Black.
Oh, that promo.
Yeah, but that again, because it's one of those things that like when we were teenagers and we saw Maria del Barrio and we loved Soraya, we were like,
We love Soraya, but
we
whatever.
love Soraya.
Right,
You know, like, oh, she was crazy.
Right.
But it's one of those things that you don't realize that you're having a
impact.
collective experience.
Yeah.
That everybody thought she was so crazy. Although, credit to you and I know she became a meme.
Right.
In the last like 4 or 5 years.
Right.
You and I and our friends, we were still quoting Soraya 20-some years later. We never stopped quoting Soraya.
We have been saying venganza for years.
Yes. Y maldita lisiada.
Maldita lisiada.
So when all these people jumped on the Soraya bandwagon, I'm like,
You're like,
please,
welcome.
Please, por favor. So,
Welcome. We've been here.
So anyway, I wanted to talk about just something really stupid, funny, part of the times. These are the type of things that, like, as terrible as coronavirus is, and we reached 200,000 deaths in the U.S. this week.
Wow.
So that's a terrible threshold
Yeah.
to have reached. That's a number you don't want to get to. It's just, horrible. As we know, sometimes even in the darkest of times, a little humor.
Of course, goes a long way.
Okay. I posted this on my personal Instagram, DJBoy19 at Instagram. Did you see that Qantas, the official airline of Australia, sold out in 10 minutes. In 10 minutes, a 7-hour flight to nowhere.
Yep.
¿Tú sabes que montarte en un avión por 7 horas?
And it was not a cheap flight either.
No.
That's the thing. It wasn't like it was like $100.
Right.
No.
No.
It was like regular fare.
No, y 7 horas. Porque si tú me dices, bueno, we're going to take a little flight and we're going to go over the coast and,
An hour.
Una hora y media.
Right.
Whatever. I'll be like, okay, No. But no, this was 7 hours.
7 hours.
7 hours. That is less than flying from New York to Heathrow to London. I mean, so would you do it?
Is Australia even that big?
Bueno, Chico, Australia is enormous.
I mean, how many monuments
I
to Kylie Minogue are there?
No. I actually started reading on it. They fly over the outback. So one of the things you could see the Uluru. The Ayers Rock, which
I know that they fly like close to like the Barrier Reef. Like they
I don't know about the Barrier Reef, but they definitely. Well, no, because I've been to Australia, to our listeners, and Australia is one of the most incredible places I've ever been to. And from Sydney to Alice Springs, which is
where they have the Outback platter.
the Outback platter. ¿Qué mentira más grande? For those people out there who didn't know, Outback is totally not Australian, right? It's like American food with Australian names. Like,
it's essentially
it's like the Alice Springs chicken. The what is it?
The Dover platter. Dover platter.
Yeah, it's like none of that exists in Australia. But que mentira. And from Sydney to the Uluru, which is Ayers Rock, it's about a 3-hour flight. So they. Imagine a back and forth.
Okay.
And they go around it. And the Ayers Rock, which for those of you who don't know, it's that famous picture you always see of like this huge, enormous mountain sort of rock in the middle of nowhere. I've said it before. I've been lucky enough to travel. I've traveled a lot, and that is by far the most incredible thing I've ever seen. So I get it and I don't get it.
I wouldn't do it for the prices that they had.
I would do it if it was like $100-some. Right. It's like, oh, you know what? We have nothing to do today.
7 hours on
Let's
Saturday.
Let's go fly over the Australian Outback.
But not at those prices. It was regular price.
Yeah. No, but what I think it's incredible is that it sold out in 10 minutes. So that got me thinking. Do you think that as airlines continue to struggle to make money, that maybe this is something they're going to be doing?
This is just what's going to happen?
Like, remember some people, I don't think it's crazy. The cruises to nowhere, I don't think it's crazy because, it has a buffet.
That's true. They take you out to international waters, you gamble, and you come back.
Right.
Yeah.
You eat and you come back.
Yeah.
And if it's overnight, whatever. You
so be
get
it.
piss out drunk. But a flight to nowhere, it's like, how good is the food on this flight? Like, that's my first question.
What is the in-flight entertainment?
Well, it's Kylie Minogue.
It's true.
I mean, was there ever any doubt?
That's true.
And because you're flying over the Australian Outback, I would play the whole Golden album.
Oh, okay.
Right, to go with the theme.
That's not 7 hours long, that album.
Okay, well, we're going to listen to the extended mixes. But do you think that maybe this will become a thing now? Like, fly over, I don't know, the Gulf of Mexico. Fly over the Grand Canyon. Fly over the California wildfires.
Oh, no. Don't do that.
No.
I mean, no, you're right. I mean, I guess as they're struggling to find, ways to make money, it would make sense that they would look to something like that. But I mean, I don't know that it would fly here.
No pun intended.
No pun intended. I don't know that we have as many pretty things.
No, because
you know what I mean?
No. Actually, I thought about that. I think it could.
Okay.
You know what would be a really pretty flight? It's not 7 hours long, but would be a really pretty flight would be over the Keys.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's 7 hours over the Keys.
We don't know. No, it wouldn't be a 7-hour flight. That'd be like a round trip, 1 hour, hour and a half at most. Right. Because that from an aerial vantage
very
point
pretty.
will be beautiful.
Yeah,
or flying over Fort Jefferson in the Dry Tortuga.
That's a sea.
Or stuff like that, but not 7 hours.
Not 7 hours. No, thank you.
Tú sabes lo que es montarte en un avión y aterrizar en el mismo lugar que te fuiste.
That's what's upsetting.
Yeah.
That's
because it's not like when you always get to a new place and you're at the airport, it's like, oh,
you're a little like disoriented.
Oh, look, it's Annie's Pretzels and Chili's too, and another Kyoko de batteries. Oh, look how this airport, But no,
it's the same when you left.
It's the same.
Just 7 hours later.
Bueno,
so it's like a bad joke almost.
We cannot have an episode this week without speaking about the death of Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Yes, the notorious RBG.
Is to say she was a mammoth in the legal world is an understatement. So actually, you know what? Let me ask you.
Okay.
Because obviously, a lot of people already know that I went to law school. I studied law. Mm-hmm. I have always been a geek of the Supreme Court.
True.
You read comic books, I read Supreme Court cases because I think it's fun, from somebody from like a lay perspective, somebody who necessarily didn't study law, but has a general awareness of things. What does somebody like her mean to you, or what did you know about her, the importance of somebody like Ruth Bader Ginsburg in the court?
So I will say I probably didn't know the importance of her until recent-ish, quote
Like in
unquote.
the last couple of years.
When I would say she became like a pop culture phenomenon.
Right, she did.
I was aware of her existence, but not her. Not the RBG of it all.
Right.
When I found out exactly who she was and what she had done, I was like, well, damn, girl. Go on with your bad self with your like little 3'4", because she was tiny.
Right.
Self,
You know that when she graduated from law school and she went to Harvard, she applied to, I don't know, countless law firms in New York City, and she didn't get called back to one.
Because she was a woman.
Because she was a woman.
And a Jewish woman at that. But I mean, she broke so many barriers that I think, again, because she became a pop culture icon, I would say within the last 5 years. Maybe 10?
Yeah, definitely. Maybe
no more than
5 to
10.
7.
No more 10. No more than 10. A lot of people, the things that she did, I think we take for granted.
Yes.
The glass ceilings that she broke, the things that she stood for, I think we all take for granted because we take it as, well, of course a woman can get a bank account on her own. Of course a woman, can be a lawyer. Of course. Like duh. That was not always the case.
And what I'm also very happy about, a lot of the coverage that she's getting is because a lot of people that are like ultra conservative say, oh, she was for abortion. Yeah, she was for a woman's right to choose, as I always say.
Which is very different.
It's not about abortion. Nobody likes abortion. Nobody wants an abortion. Nobody thinks abortion is great.
Right. Nobody wakes up with like a to-do list.
It's about a woman's right to choose. But aside from that, not tackling that topic, she was a mammoth when it came to women's rights.
Yeah.
And she gave majority opinions on many cases that had to do with just like clubs and facilities that did not allow women, and schools and that just did not allow women. And she was, I think a lot of people maybe don't realize that she was put in the court by the Clinton administration in the 90s.
Yeah.
So it's not like these were decisions from 50, 60 years ago.
Yeah. I didn't realize that. Like, I thought she had been there much longer than she had. The first female justice was Sandra Day O'Connor, right?
Yes. Okay. She was appointed by Reagan.
Reagan, right.
Yeah. And then her, and then now Kagan and Sotomayor. Trump has said that he's going to appoint a woman.
A woman, which kudos. Well, listen.
Whether he's doing it politically or not, I mean, I think...
Better a woman than a man.
I think that, there should be...
representation.
There's 9 justices. There should be at least 4 women.
Right.
That's the way I see it.
Right.
And at least
minimum
4. And, I always tell people, and a lot of times they don't listen to me. They just think it's me being, not dramatic, but just overthinking things. I always tell people, administrations come and go, presidents come and go. What you think today is
policy changes,
a big deal. 5 years from now, you'll look back and be like, oh, life went on. But that's not the case with the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court decisions shape this country, and they shape the country and our society in terms of your daily life. What you wake up in the morning and do, and what you can or can't do. The Supreme Court of the United States it shapes that. So people need to understand very carefully what it means, when the Supreme Court does these decisions. This is just not for somebody somewhere, because I always say, a big battle in the Supreme Court, and it doesn't matter which side you're on, is Roe versus Wade, with a woman's right to choose.
Right.
You start stripping things like that away, and what's next? Birth control?
Right.
We've already had Supreme Court cases where, women have not had access to birth control. So where does it stop?
It's a slippery slope.
It's where does it stop? Absent whatever your opinion is, because now you're talking about people's rights and how people's decisions, life decisions that they make, that are based on Supreme Court precedent. Right. So that's why it's something that I just think it's fascinating, and I invite people. I know nobody's going to, but I know that I invite people to read Supreme Court cases. And if you want to read the best of RBG, read her dissents. She is actually just as famous for her dissents than her majority opinions. Yeah, because her dissents, she was savage AF. I think I've said it here before. When I read Supreme Court cases, I actually read the dissent first.
Really?
Yeah. Because, justices on the Supreme Court, I know it's become a completely politicized process, because what hasn't become politicized now? But justices in the Supreme Court have reached the height of jurisprudence. And when you reach, it's kind of like an enlightened stage, if you will.
They're like the Dalai Lamas of law.
Sort of, yes. That when you reach that sort of enlightened kind of stage, it's really not about politics. That's why, for example, this same year, you've seen many times justices that you thought were conservative actually, leading, or in terms of casting their judgment, their decision, going towards a more liberal side. Right. Because these people, they don't see it.
They're looking at the letter of the law.
Exactly, the letter of the law. Somebody that, for example, I didn't always agree with him because I'm a liberal, but Anton Scalia, who was well known for being a conservative judge, that man wrote beautifully, whether you agreed with him or not. And reading his decisions on the Supreme Court, again, whether you agreed with him or not, it was just so beautifully the way that he interpreted the Constitution that a lot of times, even though I wouldn't agree with it, I wasn't mad at him because I read his process and I read how he got from point A to point B. Okay. I would have taken a different route and I would have had a different ending, but I understand how he did it from the letter of the law. And, now I sound like a commercial for civil procedure and civil jurisprudence. So,
this section brought to you by LegalZoom.
Yes. So,
Legal Corner with Darian.
Huge loss for our country and, just for women. And you know what?
The minute that she had pancreatic cancer, though, I was like, it's just a matter
Pobrecita, but you know what? Well done.
Well, no, I mean, pobrecita, because, it sucks. Like,
no, what I'm saying is...
pancreatic cancer is what when you have pancreatic cancer, that's it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like, she had breast cancer and, remission and whatever.
But you know what? Well done.
She lived a very full life.
She lived a very full life.
Absolutely.
Very full life. So something I wanted to also discuss. Something I wanted to touch base on this week, because when I saw it, I thought about to emphasize on something else that we had talked about before, we've mentioned. So a show that premiered, I don't know if it premiered this week or premiered last week, is Ratchet, which is a
I
series
saw the first 3 episodes
of Nurse Ratchet. Okay. I have not seen it, but I've seen the previews. Now, I, like many people, I loved Louise Fletcher as Nurse Ratchet in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Love her. I mean, to me, the movie is about her. It's her, right? And like many people, she was definitely a character that I was like, I wonder what her backstory. She is a backstory that I always wondered upon, right?
Okay.
So my question and kind of like the topic of conversation is, I am totally on board for them doing like a movie of her, but a series.
Well,
how much can we dive into this character that we're going to have, 10 or 12 episodes per season or whatever of this character?
Yeah, if it had been like a miniseries at least, right?
Or a miniseries or a movie. But it actually turned me off a little bit.
Really? Well, so far, okay, so here's the thing. I actually have never seen One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
What? Wait, what?
I've never seen
it. Okay, but wait. How do we have a podcast? How are you, Mr. Pop Culture, and you have never seen One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest? But how?
I don't know. I just haven't. But I know, I know, I know it. I know of it. I know she's from it.
No, but if you haven't watched it and you haven't seen the cruelty yet adoration of Nurse Ratchet.
Well, I will say this. I have said on this podcast before, I am not a fan of the whole, like, what was so-and-so like before we met them in this other property? Like I said, like, I really don't care about how Han Solo got to where we meet him. I'm not a fan of this prequelitis.
Yeah.
I will say, again, having never seen the movie, the way that I am viewing this show is as, like, One Flew Over the American Horror Story.
Because it's Ryan Murphy.
It's Ryan Murphy, and it is visually American Horror Story. Like, every one of the tricks is there, every one of the styles.
Sarah Paulson is amazing.
Tremenda tita. But, so, I guess to your point, as I'm watching it, I'm just kind of like, all right, this is a good story, but you could have changed all of the names. You know what I mean? And called it, Nurse Josefina, and would have been fine.
Because, like, I agree with you in terms of the whole prequel thing. Like, right, I didn't feel we needed a Han Solo prequel. I didn't feel we needed a Maleficent prequel.
Right.
But Nurse Ratchet, like, you do watch it, and her character is intriguing, and she's not the main character of the show of the movie by far. But she's somebody that when you finish watching the movie, you're like, you do ask, why is she the way she is?
There's a reason she's part of the pop culture lexicon,
right? Yeah. So as I said, I could accept and even want to see something about, like, the evolution or the creation.
What made her that way?
What made her Nurse Ratchet? But again, a mini series, it's like, I wanted to know what her story was.
I just don't want to know for like 4 years.
Yeah, and I don't need to know about other characters and other subplots and other stuff.
Right.
Like, I just want to know why she was the way she was.
Right.
End of story.
That's it.
That's it.
Just give me 2 hours.
Give it to me 2 hours or go in a miniseries.
Give it to me like 3-4 episodes.
Yeah. But then I was like, but this is like season 1. So, like, if this is a show, then this is going to have other characters and subplots, and which is not really. I'm not that interested in it either.
Right.
So yeah, it has to do with what we always say, like that over saturation of just
content.
Oh yeah, Sarah Paulson has come pretty far. It's the first place I saw her at, right? Studio 60 at the Sunset Strip.
Oh, that's right. Yes, she was playing the character that was based on Kristen Chenoweth.
That show was really good.
That was a good show.
I don't know why that show. Well, that show got canceled because it's funny when you go to Wikipedia. You can look at the ratings of Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip. So, for those of you who don't remember, Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip was a show. It was in 2006, and it starred Matthew Perry, Sarah Paulson, and
it was Matthew Perry's first big thing after Friends.
Right. So it was very much anticipated,
right?
Because it was just he was like the main character, like him and this other guy.
I want to say Don Cheadle, but I know it's not Don Cheadle.
On the show, and the premise of the show, it was one of those shows within a show. It was kind of like they were running Saturday Night Live.
It launched, I think, the same year that 30 Rock launched, and so it was interesting because they were both on NBC, and whereas 30 Rock was that same format of like the show behind the show or the comedy version, the sitcom version, this was the drama version.
Right, but the problem with that show, and I remember watching that show and thinking is that show's production must have been in the millions.
It was expensive.
It was because, first of all, they had celebrities in every episode.
Yeah.
They had musical numbers, and there was like ton of people in each episode because, again,
it was an ensemble of like 10 people to begin with.
And it was like a show within a show. Like they were producing a show that would be similar to Saturday Night Live.
Right. Yeah.
So I remember I would think, I'm like, in order for them to renew this has to be like a super like blockbuster.
All the ratings of ever. Yeah.
It's funny now that I'm thinking about it. When that show came out, like in between 2006 and 2008, that's when I started becoming like really disillusioned with television and know that I cannot watch network television.
That's true.
Mira,
I remember
that show. So what happened, listeners, was that I still believe in network television, right? And there were all these shows that came out that actually were really good, and I would invest my time in these shows, and they would all get canceled.
They would go the way of the dodo.
Studio 60 on the Sunset
Sunset
Strip. Dirty Sexy Money.
That lasted for 2 years, right?
That lasted for 3 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it still got canceled.
Well, no, but okay. But 3 years is
Pushing
a decent.
Daisies.
Oh, I love Pushing Daisies. I'm rewatching.
Do you remember Eli
Stone?
Eli Stone, which every
With Johnny Lee
episode
Miller.
was every episode was a George Michael song.
No, I know, but it was Johnny Lee Miller.
Yeah,
yeah.
With the Victor Garber was on that show.
I will say yes.
Yeah, he was a partner in the law firm. Then a couple of years later, the one that was like, that's it. This is
You're done.
Cruel Punishment is the one. Resurrection. Resurrection was
that
a
was
show
recent, like a year or two ago.
A year? No, that was like 10 years ago.
Really?
Yes. So Resurrection was a show on MTV. On MTV, Cuchaya, on ABC, that they did this huge campaign that there were these two people, this man and this woman, who were probably middle-aged, and they would open they would hear the door knock, ring, and they would open the door, and it was like, Mom and Dad, it's Johnny. And it was their son who had drowned like 25 years earlier as a child. So the whole show was about resurrection and how some people were being resurrected. That show lasted for 3 seasons, and the time slots were everywhere. Like, they would change it everywhere. They canceled it, and they canceled it on a cliffhanger. Then I started watching State of Affairs with Katherine Heigl.
Oh, but that was one season.
That was one season. That was on NBC. That show ended with the Taliban coming to, kill her. And she was calling the president. It's like, you know what? That's why now, like, I don't watch a show until, like, it's already been going on. I feel that if a show reaches 4 seasons, we're good.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. But it's a double-edged sword, because if you don't watch it, then there's no 4 seasons.
I know, but then you get invested in it, and then it's like, done, gone.
All right. Well, I will say I'm watching now. It just started. Only 1 episode has aired as of this recording, but there are 3 episodes of it on Hulu. Filthy Rich with Kim Catrall.
Oh yes, I want to watch that.
It's so campy. It's so soapy. It's so campy. Like, I saw all 3 episodes back to back, and I was like, you know what? I love it, and I love her.
You know what? This may be very controversial with what I'm about to say. So prepárense.
Oh, Lord.
I think she was the best thing about Sex and the City.
She was.
I really think she was. I think that Sex and the City...
She was, absolutely.
And I know we're men, so we don't have the same opinion on Sex and the City that women
Whatever,
do.
but Kim Catrall has replied to, like, a couple of my tweets. We're BFFs.
But I think that franchise without Samantha Jones...
Doesn't work.
No. It doesn't.
It doesn't work.
Samantha stole every scene. No wonder Sarah Jessica Parker hates her.
I get it. I get it.
I know this is very controversial, but that show, I mean, I had read something that things that they tossed out there that they were considering retooling it and bringing, I don't know if it would be
for like a new movie, but getting rid of Samantha, because she's done with that role.
Right,
she has said,
but the Samantha's character would not be recasted. Just bring in another character
to fill that.
Right, and it would be Sharon Stone.
It's not the same. It's not the same because Sharon Stone arrives being Sharon Stone, whereas Kim Catrall was not Kim Catrall when she originated the role.
But even if she's not Sharon Stone, even if you're able to see beyond past Sharon Stone, what is that character going to be like compared to the other 3?
She's going to have to be a Samantha.
Right.
By default.
Samantha-esque, even if it's not Samantha.
Right.
Crazy, whatever.
Right.
So it's like, okay, so then what's the point?
What's the point? Yeah.
So that show, without her, sorry.
No.
Sorry.
Would not
and
work.
it's funny because I loved Samantha, and I know this is going to sound weird. If you made me pick a favorite character, I would pick it.
Charlotte?
No, Cynthia Nixon.
Oh my God.
How can we not remember? Miranda. Because I love the evolution of Miranda. That Miranda was like this insipid, dry up.
True, very negative, very...
And she ended up with Steve.
Right, she ended up having a family.
With Steve in Brooklyn.
Right.
And like...
That was a character arc.
Yeah. Like, I loved the evolution of her. That's why, like, I didn't, I you know how that show, I love it and hate it.
As everyone does.
Like I love the scene in the first movie where they like decide, that if they're gonna stay together, they're gonna meet at the Brooklyn Bridge. Like I loved that. But still, like Samantha, without Samantha, no,
Doesn't work.
And then how we feel about Carrie.
Ay, qué personaje para él, me mal.
I can just hear Stephanie screaming in the car. I can hear her. Don't you hear that?
Is that what that noise is?
Is that what that stuff was?
That's what that is. That's what that noise is.
Anyway, well, enough about that.
Oh, God. But you know what we can all agree on?
The Cuban bread smells damn good.
Damn right. And you know what smells just as good as Cuban bread?
What? Dime.
A Cuban bread candle.
Uh-huh.
And so we have the creator of the notorious, infamous, at this point we can't live without it, Cuban bread candle from Albisa Candles, Isabel Alvarez. And honestly, we could not have had a better conversation with a more Miami girl.
Who's not from Miami?
If she had actually been from Miami. Homegirl is from Los Angeles, born and raised.
And yeah, we already told her that when she comes to Miami, we're hosting her. We're giving her the
Marta Darby experience.
Tour.
Yes. Yes. Which actually, that's a thing now. The MDE.
The Marta Darby.
Yes. The MDE, the Marta Darby experience. So without further ado, everybody, here's our interview with Isa. Hey everyone, Ish here. You want to know what I hate? Con una tremenda pasión. Spending all day in my car creating pollution, all because I'm just one person in one vehicle. Well, a new app not only wants to change how you get around Miami, but reward you for it. Say hello to Velocia, available for download free on iOS and Android. Use Velocia, that's VELOCIA, every time you ride Metrobus in Miami-Dade during off-peak hours and receive Velos reward points. Redeem the Velos for perks like credits with Lyft and Uber. You can also earn points by answering surveys, bike sharing, even inviting your friends to join. Así que what are you waiting for? Download Velocia today and start getting rewarded for safely getting around while doing your part for a greener tomorrow. And welcome back, listeners. Now, our guest today, we fell in love with her before we even knew her, just by virtue of her product. And you know that the one thing we love is a Latina who can hustle. But on top of that, we love a Latina who can hustle and somehow incorporate Cuban bread into what she's hustling, okay? So in the footsteps of a fellow Cuban bread hustler, Martha of Miami, we have with us Isabel Alvarez. Y'all know her better from Albisa Candles, home of the Cuban bread candle. Thank you so much for joining us, Isa.
Thank you for having me.
Okay.
It is awesome.
I have to tell you, when we first heard about your candle, it's Cuban bread, we were kind of like, sure. Yeah, okay, fine. Yeah.
We're like, it's a gimmick. It's a gimmick.
Like, how can it possibly smell like Cuban bread? Girl, you are clearly a wizard because you have made a candle that literally smells like Cuban bread. Mm-hmm. And I honestly just think you're a witch because there's no other way to explain how you did it. Like, okay.
No. Let me add something there. It smells like fresh baked Cuban bread.
Yes.
Right. It's called brujeria. I mean,
Clearly. But let's take a little step back. Like, where did the idea, I guess, first for Albisa Candles, come from? Because I know Cuban bread, and correct me if I'm wrong, was not part of the initial offering, right? It was...
No. Well, actually, what's funny is yes and no.
Okay.
So, I've been making candles for 175 years.
You look fantastic.
Yes, thank you.
Like I said, clearly a witch, right? Okay.
Right. That's what it's exactly. That's exactly it. But when I met my husband, I mean, he saw my passion for it. He saw that he's like, oh my God, you really have to do something with this. And I was like, I've never been able to think of a name for my company. I'd made them for a long time before I met him, sell to like friends and family. But I don't know. I couldn't think of a name. And then I just literally sat there and I'm like, Albert and Isa. Albisa. That's it. He's like, that's it. Let's go. We're going to get a DBA and we're going to do this. And I was like,
wow, that went quick.
Yes, yes. He was like, no, let's do this, and he's Cuban too. So he's like got that hustle, in him too. His parent, both of our parents, entrepreneurs, and like we have to do something. We're gonna do something with this. And I was like, oh okay, let's do it. But I didn't know where to start, who to market to be honest with you.
What were your first, what were the first scents that you had?
So funnily enough, even though funnily is not a word, Cuban Bread was part of what I started with. I brought it out, but I was in the wrong market. So we had like regular scents, your vanillas and your fruity ones and things like that. But I knew from the beginning that I wanted to do something with Cuban in it.
Like pay respect to your roots, kind of.
Yes, we're both Cuban. So my husband, both of his parents were born in Cuba. Mm-hmm. He's first generation here. Both of my parents were born in Cuba. I'm first generation here. So we were both like, okay, yes, we have to do something with it. I just had no idea how. And when we first started, we were in the wrong market. I don't know how familiar you are with California, Southern California, but we were in Orange County.
Okay, yeah, with a No Doubt and Gwen Stefani, right? Uh-huh.
Exactly. Okay. Exactly. And we were marketing to them. And so in the beginning, I created it because that's my favorite scent of all time is, Cuban Bread. And my husband would draw people in to our booth and be like, would you like to smell some fresh Cuban bread? And people would be like, what's that? And they would smell it and they were like, oh, and they would bring them in to smell other things and then they would eventually buy something else. Okay. So that one, it didn't click with them. So
because it had no connection to it.
No connection to it. So eventually I had it and then it just kind of faded away. Listen. And so you have to cater to what people want. So they would go to the typical, the either fruity or fresh type of scents. And so that's what I was making until my sister was going to get married. And she's like, I'm doing a vintage Cuba theme. And of course I had to create everything actually. I called it, she was getting married, but, and she made the hashtag and it's supposed to be a play on it's a Cuban wedding, okay. But it was it's a Cuban wedding. And I said, it's in the title, Isa's Cuban wedding, right there. I may not be getting married, but it's my wedding. So I did everything. And that's when I started creating Havana Nights.
Okay.
For her wedding. And to be honest with you, I thought Havana Nights was going to be like the breakout star of, the Cuban collection because that's where it started. Everybody loved it. And everybody was like, oh my gosh.
Havana Nights, for those who may not know?
Havana Nights is it smells, what I say is it smells like a sexy Cuban man. So okay. It's like a cologne type.
So you could have named it like Armando Jose.
Right. And I did Havana Nights because my dad is from Havana and my both of his parents are from Havana. Okay. And so, it's Havana Nights, her wedding. And so we did that and it kind of just lingered there. It stayed there. I needed something else to add to the collection. And we continued with our regular scents. We never broke out. We weren't hitting my people because I had my heart in it, but just not the way I really wanted it. Mm-hmm. We were invited to do it's called Latina Fest. It's for all Hispanic makers. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh no, I am making my collection here. If this is going to work, it's going to work here.
Right.
And so I had, Havana Nights. And then I was like, well, if I don't do something for my mom, me mata. So I created Tinguaro for her, which I'll tell you a little secret on that one.
Okay. We love secrets.
Which is funny. So DJ will appreciate this. It was originally going to be called Matanzas.
Oh.
Because, yeah. So that just goes to show I do listen. I do listen to the show.
You do listen. Oh my God. Wow.
So, but I didn't think, I was like, okay, Matanzas growing up. Tinguaro is a small town in Matanzas.
Mm-hmm.
Probably not as small as where your parents are from, but
No,
it's a
I can
small.
assure
Yeah,
you it's not.
I'm sure. I hadn't heard of it, to be honest with you. I hadn't heard of it. But I was like, oh, it's in Matanzas. Okay. So I was all set to call it Matanzas until a Mexican friend of mine asked me, why are you calling it Matanzas? And I'm like, oh, well, that's, it's the province where my mom is from. And she's like, but that's, it's such a word. And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, well, you know what it means? And I'm like, it's the city. Oh, you're right.
And do you know that that's why Matanzas was called Matanzas? Porque fusilaron a mucha gente ahí.
I didn't until I looked it up.
Yeah.
I was like, let me look. I need to Google this. And I looked it up.
You were thinking as a Cuban.
I was. I never connected the two. I didn't massacre. What? And I was like, stop. We can't call it that.
It's like naming a candle Auschwitz.
I mean, seriously. Like, what? Oh, no. And so then I was like, no. It has to be Tinguaro. I mean, that's even smaller because I wanted it to be, representing my mom, but to connect a little bit more people. But I'm like, okay, well, it has to be Tinguaro. It cannot. I cannot put massacre out into my candles.
Nobody wants to smell a massacre. As a rule, nobody wants to smell a massacre. So at that point, you're at the Latina Fest, I believe is what you said it was called.
Mm-hmm.
And so you've got Tinguaro, Havana Nights, and Cuban Bread was gonna come back as part of this collection, or Cuban Bread is still like not even making the rounds in your head as far as.
Well, I had the two, Tinguaro and Havana Nights, and I was like, I need a third one. And to be honest, I had forgotten about Cuban Bread.
What?
And I was, yes, I don't know. My brain was somewhere else. And then I started thinking, and my husband and I were like talking about how, what are our traditions? What do we do? And he's like, well, we eat the, a bang with the baby and her baby who's now 8 years old, mind you. But he's the baby. And I was like, Cuban bread. I'm like, it's Cuban bread. It has to be. That's what it is. It's Cuban bread. And he's like, you're right. And we brought it in, and that just literally went through the roof.
And I mean, okay, so you guys are, like you said, you're first generation Cuban, like myself, but you're West Coast Cuban. Right? Born and raised, both of you out in the LA area, shall we say, for those who don't know. It's so interesting because, as you know, because you've heard the show and we've talked about it ad nauseum, last year we went out to LA and, we love LA. LA has its own vibe, but it's always interesting for us to see the Cuban experience, or the Latino experience, if we want to even broaden the scope a little bit, in LA compared to, Miami, right? But yet here you are, you're making this candle with something that it doesn't matter if you are in LA, in Miami, in Houston, in New York, in Chicago, it's gonna connect everybody.
Right.
Did you find that by releasing the Cuban Bread, candle, that all the Cubans sort of started to come out even more out of the woodwork in LA? Like, because there's a lot of us out there. We forget that, but there are a lot.
You know what? To be honest, they started this year. When it first happened, I have to say that the first person my sister. So we sold out at Latina Fest. It was amazing. I thought I was going to sell one or two and then I would put it online. We sold out. I was like, okay. So my sister was dying to post about it. And she posted about it and tagged like every Cuban influencer she could think of. One of the ones who picked it up without even thinking about it was who I dubbed now, and she will confirm it, my Cuban fairy godmother.
Marta Darby?
Which I think
Marta Darby, of course. Who else would it be? We love us some Martha.
Oh my God, I love her so much. And I told her, I said, there's no way around it. I'm calling you my Cuban fairy godmother.
Have you met her personally?
No, we have not.
So we met her personally last year when we went to California.
Yeah.
We met her at Porto's, of course.
Of course.
And then when she came down here in December, we hosted her. And
I know.
We took her all around town. She went to dinner at my parents' house. We took her to a bunch of restaurants. She is an angel. She's amazing. Yeah. We love her. And yes, she is a Cuban godmother. Yes.
Yeah, that's who she is.
There's Gloria and Saffron, and then right there is
right there. I agree 1,000%, especially for us on the West Coast.
Yes,
for sure. And to bring it full circle on how small our community here is, I actually worked with her daughter Amy, her oldest daughter.
Oh yeah,
and
okay.
I met her in 2009, I want to say, and we're in Orange County, and of course she was like came, and she came to me. She's like, "I heard you're Cuban," and I'm like, "Yes." And so right there, we were like instantly, friends right there. It's a bond. Somebody's Cuban, and that's it. You're like become family instantly. It's for us here on the West Coast, probably more so. I don't know over there, but for us, even to this day, my sister has like the Cuban flag in her car, and they'll honk at her. And someone actually left a note saying hi from a fellow Cuban. I mean, it's yeah.
So I want to ask you, because I love candles. I've been collecting scented candles for a while, and I've actually made some myself.
Oh, okay.
I have. How do you even begin to? And I mean, you don't have to, obviously, I'm not asking you for your secrets, but how do you even begin to compose the notes, the Cuban bread candle and the notes and the layers? How do you even begin with that? And most importantly, get it spot on.
I mean, it takes a long time, and there are different oils. It's the chemist, and I'm not a chemist, and I hate math, which is funny because I surround myself. I have to constantly be doing math. It's like a gram of this and an eighth of that, and yes, but you have to just continue to mix and a little bit of this. It's a recipe. It's literally a recipe, and you take this oil and that oil, and when you combine oils, it's amazing what two different oils, they smell completely different, and you combine them, and then you get a completely different scent. To get the butter and the yeast in there, it's a trip, the different oils that it actually takes to make that. You would never think, which again, I'm not gonna tell you, but it does. And you mix them together, and you're like, oh, this smells like bread. And then you have to get it closer and, have it be Cuban bread, because it can't just smell like French baguette or
Wonder Bread.
I don't know. Yeah. It has to smell specifically for it to take you back, because that's what it does. It takes you back to your childhood, and that's what I get from people. Like, oh my God, it's taking me back to the bakeries when I used to go with my parents. Yeah. My dad in the mornings, or my mom, and that's where it takes you back instantly. So for it to, and that's what scent does, right? Scent and music, they take you back in time.
Yes.
So it does. It takes a long time.
You know that I have not been able to smell your candle like lit.
Well, you know what? That's going to change, because I just got a care package from Isa for us.
Yes.
She sent us a Cuban bread candle, which you will get. And she also sent us a café con leche candle, which is her newest scent, which I'm going to keep the café con leche. You can have the Cuban. You don't like coffee. You don't like coffee.
No,
I'm keeping the café con leche.
I don't like coffee, but I like how it smells. We'll talk about that later. No, you know why? Because I at Marta of Miami at her shop.
Right.
I remember the one time I smelled it, I was like, oh my God. Like, oh my God. I didn't get it that day. And then when I went back to the store that I was going to get it, she had sold out.
Yeah, I got one for my grandmother for last Christmas. And I remember giving it to her. I mean, my grandmother's she's like a year away from 90. What do I get her? You know, a candle.
Right.
And I remember giving it to her and being like, abuela, mira, esta vela, you know, huele a pan cubano. ¿Cómo que pan cubano? ¿Cómo va a oler a pan cubano? They passed that candle around on Christmas morning. Like, I think if the neighbors had come by, they would have just been like, mira, pero es que huele a pan cubano. And the other day I was at her house for her birthday, and I'm like, abuela, ya, tú usaste la vela? She's like, ay, niño, hace rato me tienes que comprar otro, because she loved it. Loved it.
Isabel. No, let me ask you this, because I'm sure you have there and concocting other stuff. Will there ever be a lechon candle?
Okay.
She's already doing a pumpkin flan one. She has a pumpkin flan
I made
candle.
pumpkin flan. Yes, I made pumpkin flan. So you guys laugh. Okay, I get asked that all the time. It's either croqueta or lechon. Croqueta or lechon. That's what I get asked constantly. And so I swear to Buddha, I'm going to try to figure it out. But I don't want to get hate mail because that's not going to smell like, you know, Cuban bread is still
it's
a comforting scent.
Right.
You know, because if you smell onion and garlic when it's cooking, yes, it smells. But if you really, you know.
Pero Isabel, de verdad, whoever buys a lechon candle knows what they're getting.
You would think. Right? But my sister's like, you need to put a disclaimer on here. This is a novelty candle. So I can't confirm nor deny that I'm working on
You're
something.
not going to light up a lechon candle on a lazy Sunday morning.
Exactly. That's not like get in a hammock and light up a lechon. But I will say, if you do make one, we can probably work together to do a little combo t-shirt candle thing. Just saying.
Right? I'm saying, yes, the lechon life. Yes, I get it.
The possibilities are endless.
Yes.
I know. I get asked a lot, either lechon or croquetas or both. And it's like, really? You really want to smell that in a candle?
Would be more like welcoming? Croqueta or lechon?
Croqueta maybe has a little bit, because I mean, I would assume I would put a little bit of Cuban bread in there because it has the breading. I don't know.
She gets a little bit of the candle and she throws it in.
Right?
All I will say is that if you do one that's croqueta, please do not make, una croqueta de bacalao. Don't make one of bacalao, please. No codfish candle.
If you hate someone, buy this candle. De bacalao. No.
Don't be like, oh my God, they came out with a croqueta candle. Yay! Es de bacalao. Oh.
Yeah, no. No, but I get asked that so much, I just might do it.
If you have a lechon candle, people will buy it for Nochebuena. Hold on a chicharrón candle.
Well,
that I could sign up for.
Yes, actually. Yes, I can. Listen, you're taking my secrets. You can't,
Whatever. If white people can have their sugar cookie, we can have a chicharrón cookie.
That's true. That's true. That is true.
That is a hell of a comparison you just made, by the way, Terry. Chicharrón and sugar cookie.
Right. And growing up, what did your house smell like? Sugar cookie?
No.
It smelled like chicharrón and rancid oil on the cabinets.
That's it. That's exactly. I have to have rancid oil and chicharrón. That's it right there.
At this rate, she's just gonna make one that's sofrito.
Yeah, I love the smell of sofrito. It's my favorite smell. When the garlic and the oil and everything come together, I really love that smell.
I'm telling you, that will sell.
Mira, and if you need a name for that collection, you know how they have White Barn Candle? You can just call it Efficiency Velas.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Which I'm still not 100% sure what I hear it all the time, but I'm not sure what an efficiency is because we don't have that here.
That's because you're West Coast. So an efficiency basically here in Miami. So you get like a closet in your house. Okay. You open a door, so it could a door outside.
Yeah.
A door outside. You put a toilet. Y pones una hornilla.
No, y una ducha.
And that's it. You rent
there you go.
$1,000 a month.
Oh my God. Okay.
Y ahí en el efficiency meten como 4 gente.
Oh my god, because I'm always hearing it. I don't know what that is.
And all of this is done illegally without any permit.
Of course, no. Of
I think
course.
they do it in the West
Why
Coast
legal?
por los terremotos. You know, I don't think efficiencies stand up to
Probably.
earthquakes.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. No, actually, I think I'm not sure if it was in this last episode of ours or an episode before. We were saying how in the rest of the country, efficiencies are in our in-law quarters. They're called
Your mother-in-law. A mother-in-law. Yeah. Your in-law quarters. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Yes.
Yeah. Esa es la forma decente de decirlo.
De decirlo, yes. That is true.
Aquí no se hace nada para los suegros. No,
Yeah.
no, eso es un fishing.
Yeah.
Bueno,
Because we all live together.
my biggest question for you right now, though, Isa, is once all this COVID stuff is over, when will you be coming to Miami so we can see you, so we can meet you? Because last time you were here, it's funny because last year we went to LA, you were in Miami,
Yeah.
we were like 2 ships in the air because they're airplanes. And
Yes.
I mean, like, when are you going to come back down here? Which, by the way, I love the fact that last time you were here, you did a little scavenger hunt. all your
Oh my
candles?
gosh. Yes. That was amazing. My sister and I were only there for a day and a half.
How did that idea even pop up? Like, how did you think, like, let's do a scavenger hunt? And how did you find the places to do the scavenger hunt? Because you grew up in the West Coast. It's not even like, well, you grew up in Miami, then you moved to LA. No, you were hitting some, like, landmarks down here.
Right? Well, we had no idea what we were going to do. To be honest with you, I thought October, it'll be cool enough to leave a candle outside. We'll just tell people we're on this corner and this corner, come and find it. And then we got there and I was like, I'm melting. It can't happen. Forget it. We have to find a place inside that I can keep it in air conditioning because they're going to get a puddle and they're going to be like, ¿qué es esto? So we actually we made specifically the trip to Miami to see Marta of Miami. Like, I zoned in on her when I launched I was thinking of the Cuban collection, and she opened La Tiendecita a week before I launched the Cuban collection.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, I'm going to be in her store. She has no idea who I am, but I am going to be in that store.
But you and Martha hadn't connected before?
No.
Oh,
I mean, before October, yes. But when she opened, I followed her for a long time, but she didn't know who I was. Yeah. I reached out to her and sent her a message saying, look, I created this line. I think it would be good, let me send you a sample. She's like, okay, send me a sample. And so I sent her the 3 candles for her to smell. And I was like, okay, that's not enough. I need to see her in person. I need to convince her. She needs these in her. I mean, Cuban Bread, BRED with my Cuban Bread candle. I mean, hello.
No, Martha. The other Martha, the Miami Martha.
Yes.
And Martha Miami's awesome. She's a hustler. That girl is the definition of hustle.
Yeah.
She's awesome.
She is fantastic. I admire her so much. I think she's amazing. And so
she's buena gente.
Oh, she really is.
Like, on top of everything else, she's one of the most down-to-earth people you will ever meet in your life. Like,
she really, really, really is, because we flew in to Miami and we went to a brewery. They had made iron beer into a beer. And it's my sister's, Elaine's favorite drink. And we're like, we're getting that beer. Like, we have to get that beer. My dad lives in, where does he live? In Hollywood, Florida.
Okay, yeah.
Yes. Okay. So we
really
flew in
the one city that you also have in Los Angeles, and
in Los Angeles. That's where, of course, he had to go. Yes, right. I'm like, wait, because I was thinking Hollandale for some reason. I'm like, no, that's not it. It's Hollywood. Because it's here. I'm like, it can't be Hollywood. Hollywood's here, but then it's there, so it messes with my brain. And we forced him, it was like 10 o'clock at night, we forced him to drive to like an hour. And so we went to go get the beer, and she was there. And yo me puse nerviosa. I'm like, Elaine, she's right there. She's right there. Look, she's right there. And she's like, well, go talk to her. I'm like, I'm not going to talk to her. And she's like, go talk to her. I'm like, okay. I'm like, so we went to go get the beer first because priorities. We had to get the beer. And, yes. And then I came out and I was like, okay. So I just went up to them like, hi. I'm Isabel. I'm the one who made the Cuban bread. She was like, oh my God. And I was like, oh, okay. And we just like, if nothing, we're friends forever, started talking, and she loved the candle. She's like, I had to test it. I can't just put something in my store that, you know. And I was like, no, I totally understand. And yeah, she was amazing. So we actually went to the store the next day on Sunday. And we told them about the scavenger hunt, and I'm like, I don't know where to go. They told us to go to go to Los Croquetas. And I have to say, I was nervous because esta loca, what are you're going to do what? You're going to leave a candle here for somebody to come pick it up? Okay. I had no idea how we were going to be received. I walked in and my sister and I were both fighting. You go ask. You go ask. No, you go ask. And so finally I was like, okay, I'll go. I'm like, can I speak to the owner of the store? And they're like, yeah, he's outside. And I walked out and I was like, hi, I make this Cuban bread candle and I want to do a scavenger hunt. And he's like, whatever you need. And I said, really? He's like, yeah, whatever you want, whatever you need. I'm like, I want to leave it here. He's like, sure, whatever. I'm like, you were saying yes, and I haven't told you everything that I want to do yet.
It could be a candle full of cocaine. You don't know.
Yeah, you don't know. But he was so amazing. He was like, whatever you need, whatever you want, no problem. We'll help you. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. I was like, okay. So I what we did was we bought food. So we bought, some croquetas, and then we posted it on our social media. Come get your croquetas and, your Cuban bread candle.
Yeah, you did that a couple places.
And then what? My cousin had been out there, and he was like, you have to, for me, if you do nothing else, go to have el sandwich.
Oh, yeah, of course. Another one.
And I said, yes. And I was like, okay. And then we went there again. The owner wasn't there, but they were like, sure. And they even posted it on their social media.
Yep.
I was so amazed by the hospitality that we received. People just were like, yeah, sure, no problem. We'll help you. I'm like,
it's funny because that by and large has been our experience, with everybody that we've encountered down here. And again, we say this all the time, and we're just two comediantes who started a podcast. We're not celebrities. We're not influencers. At least, I guess now we're micro influencers, but we weren't influencers. Yeah. It's not like we had a following, right? But everybody that we kind of have gone up to and just been like, hey, how are you? Would you be on the show or, do something? They're open to it. They're receptive to at least hearing you out. Which
right.
Well, there's been an exception. There's been
that's
a couple.
That's why I said by and large. That's why I said by and large. But you hear a lot of times people in Miami are like, oh, they're so standoffish. They're so stuck up or whatever, and that may be the case. But for people who legit have something going on, I don't think is the case.
I have to say, I have been embraced by you gave me my Miami girl ID card. Because I am officially, Jen Herrera said it herself, I am so Miami. Miami has embraced me so much. It's amazing.
You sound like you're from Miami.
You do.
Do I really? That's funny.
Just like Martha's daughter.
Martha's daughter is one of the most Miami girls I've ever seen. And when she told us, she lived in Miami only for a short time, but as an adult, I don't know how.
She sounds like Hialeah.
She even says bro.
Yes. Yes. It's because if it's important to you, people are amazed. My son is 8, and my husband and I still only speak Spanish to him. So, and he speaks Spanish with a Cuban accent. So if you were to hear him, you think, he's a little Cuban boy, because he speaks Spanish with a Cuban accent, as do we. Yes.
I cannot wait to see what else you got coming. Because obviously, you know what? We fell in love with the Cuban bread, but the café con leche smells good. We got samples also of pumpkin flan. We got a little sample of el bosque, which the other day I was actually talking to my boyfriend about el bosque, and I was like, el bosque, because I feel like that's how you have to say it. Kind of scary. And my favorite on name alone, el tricotri.
El tricotri.
El tricotri.
El tricotri.
Hello.
That's how my grandparents said it. Vamos a hacer el tricotri.
That's how you
Okay,
celebrate
vamos a ir a tricotri.
How else are you going to celebrate fall if not if it's tricotri?
So thank you so much. It was a blast.
Yes. Thank you so
thank
much.
you. We
And-
need to do this in person for sure.
Listen, if it wasn't for the
Absolutely.
stupid COVID, we were actually going to be in LA. Like probably around this time, we were going to go out again,
Yeah.
and you were on our list, and that's why I was like,
And
gotta get her on. I don't care. We can't see her in
So
person. Gotta get her on.
We'll hang out when we go to LA. But then when you come to Miami, we'll give you the Marta Darby Miami tour.
please, I expect it. Definitely. I definitely expect
la
it.
comida in my parents' backyard y todo.
Oh, please give me some croquetas. I need really good croquetas. That's the one thing we don't have here is good croquetas. Like Isla Canaria croquetas.
Oh,
I had them. I'm obsessed.
Well, I mean, yeah, es que también, yeah, you've been spoiled.
you started
Yeah.
at the top.
Yeah.
You started at the top.
I know. They're really good.
They are the best.
Yes.
All right. But bueno, thank you again, Amor. And you know what? Again, I love the fact that you've managed to put our culture out there in such a wonderful way that just brings back memories. You know, it's like you said, the minute you light it, it takes you back to that bakery with your abuelos and all that. And it's our shared culture. And, you know, thank you so much for doing that.
Exactly. You're welcome, and in connecting us all, which is what I love even more.
And we're back. You know, I wanted to ask her for shits and giggles. You know, the whole thing of Cubans and Puerto Ricans, because you know this Puerto Rican bread.
Yeah, and it's slightly different.
It's slightly different, but similar.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask him, like, do you think you could pull off Puerto Rican bread? And if you were able to pull off Puerto Rican bread, imagine walking into a room and be like, it smells like Puerto Rican bread in
Yeah,
here.
would we be able to tell the difference?
Would we be able to
Would
tell the
we?
difference? But isn't that always the same? Isn't that always?
Can
know?
you tell the
Hasta que
difference?
abrimos la boca.
It's true. Never know.
Yeah. So.
But she was fantastic. I love her. Next time in person, for sure.
Oh yeah, King and Machine Gun Kelly.
He's dating Megan Fox. That's
Okay,
all.
but what does he do?
I think he's a rapper.
He
Of
is
sorts?
I mean, I'm pretty big on rap, and I don't know.
Oh, he's a musician of some sort because he released a music video. So I have to assume if you release a music video, you're probably some type of a musician.
Well, yeah, he's an American rapper. I mean, I'm pretty big into hip hop, and I don't know who that is, and I don't know why Megan.
You were gonna say Megan Kelly, weren't
I'll
you?
say Megan Kelly.
You were-
Well, wouldn't that
Why
be?
not? Let's do that too. Screw it.
Weirder things have happened.
This is true. Yeah, Megan Fox.
Megan Fox. So, bueno, I have my last soda.
Okay.
I'm gonna give my last soda to Ellen.
Okay.
So Ellen came back this week.
Yes.
And she talked about the problem.
Yeah. She elephant in the room.
Elephant in the room. You know, she did it her way with comedy.
Right.
Some people thought that she shouldn't have joked about it. You know, she said something that, like, I thought was very true. That she was like, you know, I've been doing the show for 15 years. Right. And even though I'm a great actress,
Yeah.
I can't fake this nice thing for
That long. Yeah.
That long.
Yeah.
And that goes to what you and I had spoken about some time back when we spoke about the whole drama with the Ellen show. You know, we have this perception, or we as a public,
yes, we do
make up a perception that somebody is this and somebody is that. So Ellen, though her brand is to be kind and nice, means that Ellen has to be
24 hours a day.
a sunshine and rainbows.
Right.
You
She
know,
can't
to
be
everybody.
human.
Yes, right. I'm sure Ellen gets pissed off. To be that successful, you usually have to be demanding.
Right.
You know, and has bad days like everybody else. And maybe, you know what? Maybe she has had moments that she's a bitch. But you know what? So have a lot of people.
We've had moments where we're dicks.
And this whole thing to bring her down. That's why I was very careful before I assessed my opinion on her. Mm-hmm. I was like, okay, all these allegations that have been made, none have been against her directly.
True.
Right?
True.
So that's my starting point.
Right.
Not that those allegations weren't serious.
Right.
And not to take anything away, but they haven't been about her directly.
Everybody's throwing it at her.
Right. So exactly. So she was supposed to be at fault for everything.
Right.
So, and as she said, she employs over 250 people. Yeah. I mean, in any company that there's 250 people, do you expect the top boss to know everything that's going on in every conversation, in every? No. I'm sure there were there was a lack of protocol. I'm sure there were things that shouldn't have gone down. Yeah. I'm sure that she could have done a better job at managing that. But this whole campaign to bring her down, I thought was ridiculous. You know, somebody who's been such a pioneer and done so many good things, to bring them down for that, like, because she wasn't aware on top of everything. Okay, you know what? Call her out on it. You know, call her out on it. Put her up to that task.
Right.
But tear her down. So I'm glad that she's back. The show had the highest ratings for her premiere show in like 6-7 years.
Well, of course.
So the ratings were really high. So good for her. So
good for you, Ellen. Yay, and you get a last soda from us. So my last soda, I feel like I've been giving a lot of corporate last sodas lately. But, you know,
Enron.
Yes, of course. Lehman Brothers. You know, again, when corporations are evil, they're evil. But on the flip side, when they're doing stuff that is good, we should call it out as well. So I'm actually giving my last soda this week to Foot Locker.
Oh, yeah.
The reason that I'm giving it to Foot Locker is because as of September 22nd, their stores across the U.S. were also turning into voter registration sites.
Yes, I heard that.
As part of an effort to increase youth voter turnout. So it's more than 2,000, you know, Foot Locker, that's Foot Locker, Lady Foot Locker, Kids, Champs, etc., are going to have a kiosk designed to help shoppers register to vote, check their registration status, or sign up for election reminders. They're partnering with Rock the Vote, which of course is a child of the 80s and 90s with MTV. Rock the Vote, for me, will always have a place in my heart.
It will always be Madonna.
It will always be Madonna draped in an American flag with curly blonde hair from the I'm Breathless era.
Yeah.
But, you know, the CEO, Richard Johnson, said, in a year marked with such uncertainty amid a pandemic and social unrest, our country's future and our collective role in shaping it has never been more important. And he hopes this will help educate and amplify the voices of today's youth. So, you know what? Good on you, Foot Locker, for doing something good, positive.
People need to vote.
Just vote.
They need to vote. They
just vote.
They need to vote, and
just get out there. Just vote.
And you know, I love when people start criticizing. Porque the joven no deben de votar. I'm like, well, that's what's the law of the United States. So you know, if you really disagree with it, then you're disagreeing with the law. Sort of like when somebody very close,
we have a bigger issue at hand.
Somebody very close to me one time said that we have too many rights in this country, and I'm like, okay, so you're talking about a completely different system of government,
right?
We're not talking about the United States.
We're talking about something that we're not talking about right now.
Right. So whatever. Anyway, bueno. That was episode 128. I feel we've been in the 120s forever, but then again, you know, it's coronavirus.
I think it's just an effect at this point.
What month is it? Does it really matter?
February, April, July,
I love a meme that I saw that said January, February, coronavirus, December.
Yes. Yes. I'm going to throw in November just because I enjoy Thanksgiving because of the food.
That's it.
Yeah, el año se acabó. Oh yeah, we're almost in October.
No, because I think about
October starts
like so
in
weird.
6
It's
days.
so weird because like when I think about when the coronavirus started,
right?
That initial like, okay, schools are shutting down and all that. It seemed the other day, but when I think about all like
everything that's happened since then,
I'm like, oh, it's been like
we managed to get all that into 6 months.
Oh my god! Like between the coronavirus and the protests and
everything.
Like, but how many years have passed? Yeah. You know. But then I think of that initial like going to the supermarket and no toilet paper and
thank God we have toilet paper now
and whatever.
If nothing else.
Well, everybody. We hope everybody listened, laughed, and learned.
Yes.
That was episode 128. And remember to grab your croqueta, your pastelito, and your cafecito. And have a great weekend, everybody. Pero Friday. See you next week.
All right, mi gente. Cuídense.
Bye.
Pero Let Me Tell You is co-hosted by Darian Borges and Ismaeliano, produced by Ismaeliano, and our theme, Pero Let Me Tell You Freestyle, is composed by Michael Angelo Lamleplex, the official gay guy. And don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes.